All right, good morning, everyone. You're welcome to a brand new week. And this week, we're going to be looking at the markets to determine where we're going to be taking trades, right? So we're in the market this week to make money, and we want to look into the market to see where's the money going to come from, right? So this is our outlook, our weekly outlook. And the goal for this session is basically for us to understand the direction of the market this week, from fundamental analysis to technical analysis, to find entries in the markets where we can get in, what instruments we're going to be trading and all of that, right? And so that's what we're going to be doing right now. Okay, please, when you come in, mute yourself so that we don't interrupt the meeting. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to begin by looking at the fundamental events for the week. So let's look at that first. And the reason we look at fundamentals first is because it's so important to our trading overall, because this is something that a lot of traders do not pay attention to, and it could really turn things around positively or negatively for your trading. So sometimes you find that you are in a trade and you're in good profit, and suddenly something turns around. The market turns around. You're wondering what's going on. Basically, it's because you weren't looking at the fundamentals. You weren't looking at what the news is saying, what is happening, what's happening on the fundamental side of things, right? And that's why we want to start from there. So we keep that in mind. We know what major events are likely to drive the markets this week, and then what we're going to be positioning ourselves to do, right? Okay, so Monday today we don't have any major thing. We only have a bank holiday in France. That has something to do with the Eurozone. Okay, so that's not major. Then tomorrow, Tuesday, we're going to be having some very important data. First of all, we're going to be having the card CPI. CPI is basically is called Consumer Price Index, is the measure of inflation. So on previous sessions, we've talked about the fact that there are three major metrics that move the markets the most. We'll talk about employment, inflation, and interest rates. Employment, inflation, and interest rates. So whenever you have data around these three areas, you are expecting it to bring volatility to the market: employment, interest rates, and inflation, right? So for this week, we have inflation data, CPI data from Canada. That will be on Tuesday, tomorrow, 1:30 p.m. So we're expecting, if you're trading anything card pairs, CAD, JPY, USD, CAD, and any CAD pairs, you want to pay attention to that news, because that's likely to drive volatility into the market, right? So this is going to be focused mainly, it's going to affect mainly card CAD pairs, right? Now, when we have a US data, the US data affects probably 80% of the financial markets, because the US dollar is the currency that underlies the entire financial markets, right? Over 88% of transactions in the financial market is done in dollars. So whenever there is an event whenever there's a dollar-based event, it will ripple through the entire market. So most of the time we want to look around. We want to look around to make sure we're paying attention to dollar-based data more than other data, right? Because irrespective of what you're trading, you'll find that that dollar-based data is going to interfere with your trading one way or the other, right? So for Tuesday, we are expecting to see CPI data for the US. CPI is Consumer Price Index again. This measures inflation over the past 1 month, right? So is the inflation for goods and services, has it been rising or has it been dropping in the past 1 month, right? So that's why it's very volatile. It tells a lot about how the economy of the US is faring per time, which is per month, right? So that's what we're looking at here. So last month's data for that was 2.4%. The forecast for this month is at 2.8%. So that data is, we're still going to hold on and wait for that data to be out, but definitely we're going to be watching that. That is expected to really bring quite some volatility to the market. Then also on Wednesday, we have CPI data for the UK. Last month was 3.4%. The forecast for this month remains 3.4%. Then we have PPI data for the US. PPI is Producer Price Index. This has to do with the price of manufactured goods that are not yet been sold. How from last month to this month, how have they fared? Have they increased in price? Have they increased in price or have they decreased? How's that doing right now? That's what we mean by PPI, Producer Price Index, right? So we're expecting that to rise. We're expecting inflation to rise to 2.6% from 2.4. We're expecting that to rise from 0.3% from 0.1% to 0.3%. Usually when inflation data rises in the US, what it tells us is that there is a likelihood that the Federal Reserve is not going to cut interest rates at this moment or in the short run. And what leads to is usually a rally in the dollar index. We'll see a dollar index push up. So that's usually the effect of the market of this data on the US dollar, on the markets generally. And of course, when the dollar pushes up, we start to see reactions across all the instruments that are connected to the dollar index, right? Then also on Thursday, we have employment data for Australia. Then we have retail sales for the US. So like I said, whenever there's a major US data, something to keep an eye on, right? So very important, we're having retail sales on Thursday, for the USD. So that's something we're going to also keep an eye on. Retail sales last month was negative 0.9%. Forecast for this month is 0.2, positive 0.2%. Also, unemployment claims is another data that tends to move the market. It has to do with employment in the US. Last week is a weekly data. Last week was 227,000. The forecast for this week is 234,000, right? Okay. So now this is what we're going to be watching for, fundamental wise, for the week, right? Now, as a trader, what you need to do is come to Forex Factory, make sure that you're keeping an eye on this news while you are doing your regular trading with fundamentals and all, right? So it's important to keep an eye on that. So let's get into the chart now to see what we have lined up on the chart. We'll start with the dollar index. Now the dollar index is okay. Dollar index is dollar index. So the dollar index is basically the dollar itself. So it's an index that measures the strength of the dollar against a basket of other currencies. So we keep an eye on them to make sure that we are following what's happening with the dollar, because what's happening with the dollar ripples across the financial markets, right? If the dollar is strong, that means a lot of other currencies will be or strong, depending on how correlated they are with the dollar index. So what we are seeing here, let's go to a lower time frame now. What we're seeing here is that we see that the dollar index has been in a downtrend. Okay, let's look at this. Dollar index has been in a downtrend, and this downtrend has been on since Donald Trump took power. Right? It has been on, and you can see that the downtrend remains intact at this time. When you use the trend line here, we put a trend line across, you see that the dollar index, the downtrend on the dollar index remains intact. Nothing is shaking the downtrend at this time. But of course, the way the market works is that the market does impulse correction, impulse correction, impulse correction. So what we see here is that impulse, we see correction, we see an impulse, we see a correction, we see an impulse, we see a correction now. So this correction is basically a pullback before the sell on the dollar index continues, right? So what are we seeing there now? We can see that this is a major inflection point right here for the dollar index. So the dollar index is likely going to pull back from here and start selling, or we might still see some sort of a buy. We might still see some sort of a buy to this top here. See, to this top of the range. This is the bottom of this range. You can see this range right here. We can see this is the bottom of the range. Price might still push up to the top of the range. But basically, anywhere inside this range, you can see that price has gotten into the middle of the range. So it can drop now. Price can start dropping right now, or it might still push up to the top of the range before it starts dropping, right? But tomorrow is CPI, so that's going to be something we're going to watch for. But definitely the dollar index is in an area right now where we expect it to start to sell again, buying and going up. But when we look at it from the higher time frame, we can see that that was just a pullback on the dollar index. That was just a pullback. So we've seen the price has gotten to a point where we expect it to start to sell right now. And so when with the expectation that the dollar index is going to start to sell now, so what are we expecting to see from Euro USD, GBP USD, and so on and so forth, right? So let's look at that. First of all, let's look at the Euro USD and see what we have on the Euro USD. For me, the Euro USD right now is positioning for a buy. Euro USD is positioning for a buy. But we're going to look at we're going to see what that looks like. Now, look at this. When we look at this area, we see that this is an area where the Euro USD might still sell a bit for its buys. This is my area. This is the area I'm expecting the Euro USD to buy from. This is the area I'm expecting the Euro USD to buy from. This area right here. Okay. This zone here is where I'm expecting Euro USD to buy from. Okay. But for me, what I'm seeing now, I'm expecting price to get into this area here and then sell all the way to this bottom before it buys. Okay. Before it buys and goes up. Okay. Now, for me, we mentioned before how that is important to have confirmations for your trades. As much as you're analyzing the market and you're expecting price to make a certain move, you want to see confirmations before you get on those trades, right? Now, when I see price here, I am not going to get into this trade at this moment yet, because from what we can see in dollar index, the dollar index has this opposite relationship with the Euro USD that is almost perfect, opposite. So when you see the dollar index rising, the Euro USD is likely selling. When you see the Euro USD selling, the dollar index is likely rising, right? So now, since we looked at the dollar index, and we can see that the dollar index it looks like it's about to begin its downtrend again, resume its downtrend. We are going to be careful with selling the Euro USD right now. We are going to be careful with selling the Euro USD. As much as we expect it to sell to get to this zone here, the 1.1638 level, we expect to get to this level before it buys on a major scale. We are going to be very careful with any sell right now, right? Because we expect the dollar index to begin to sell. So the best approach for us now is that we're going to hold on to wait for price to break out of this level. We expect price to break out of this level. If price doesn't break out of this level, we're not going to make any trade. We will expect price to break out of here. Once price breaks out of this trend line that has trapped price down on the Euro USD, this trend line has trapped price down for a couple of weeks now. We're expecting that price is going to break above this trend line. Once we see a trend line price break above this support, this resistance, okay, and then it breaks above the support, it breaks above the trend line here, that is a signal that price is about to buy. So these are the two areas we're going to be targeting a buy from. We're going to be targeting to buy from around here. We're going to target to buy from around here, or we're going to target to buy from around here. Now, anything in between here is a risky move. Yeah. It's a risky move. If price falls back down to this area, then that's a good area for us to enter for a sell, a buy, sorry. If price breaks above this region here, we expect to enter for a buy as well. So we're expecting to buy from this zone here or buy from this zone here. But anything in between this is sort of an unclear move, right? It's unclear, a bit unclear, right? So that's what we're going to be putting an eye on. We're going to be watching for this move to happen, probably today into tomorrow. for us to see exactly where price is likely to go next on the Euro USD. For now, it's a bit unclear, it's a bit indecisive, so we're going to keep our eye on that. Now, let's look at GBP USD. So GBP USD overall, let's look at it daily time frame. You can see the GBP USD has been in an uptrend, pretty strong uptrend, and this is not difficult to understand. The reason why it's been a strong uptrend is because the dollar index too has been a strong downtrend. GBP USD is one of those currencies that oppositely correlates with the dollar index. So the dollar index has been selling, so GBP USD is expected to have been buying. So now we see this drop, this significant drop on GBP USD. We know that at a point, price is going to resume its uptrend again because we see that weakness in the dollar. Dollar continues to be in a downtrend. So we expect GBP USD to buy, just like we expect Euro USD to buy as well, right? So now where are we expecting that buy to happen? During our Fibonacci here, we will see that this is the 61.8% level right here. 61.8% level is what we consider to be a kill zone for the Fibonacci, right? So this is where we expect that once price hits this area now, we should expect to see a buy. Yep. So how will that look like? Let's look at that. Okay. So our trade now is going to go this way. So we're going to be entering the trade. We're expecting to enter trade somewhere around here. And then our stop loss is going to be below this area here. Somewhere around here. So it's going to be our entry. Our stop loss is going to be for somewhere around the 30 pip level. See that? So we want to make sure that we keep our stop loss below this low. So we can see this is the most recent low. This is the most recent low that we see on GBP USD right here. So we want to make sure we keep our stop loss below that low, but we know that we are relatively safe. Okay? We know that we are relatively safe. So that's what we're going to be doing here. And then for the take profit level, we're going to have multiple take profit levels because we expect price to really go far. Multiple take profit levels. And so we might have a take profit level somewhere around here. And we'll have another take profit level somewhere around here. Somewhere around here. And then we'll have another take profit level somewhere around here. And for those who want to swing, we might put our take profit levels next. Okay. So this is going to be our entry levels. We're going to be looking for entries around the let's see what's the level there. So our entry level is going to be around the 1.33935, 1.33937. That's going to be our entry. Our stop loss around it is around 33 pips, and our take profit is around 94 pips. That's for our take profit one. Okay? So we're targeting a 1 to 3, nice 1 to 3 risk to reward ratio on that. Okay? And then also for those who are going to be, taking swing trades, we expect the market to go even further than that, right? So yeah, so the details of this trade, I'm going to drop it on the Telegram group for us to take. Okay. And then we have another trade, USD JPY. USD JPY is another trade I am looking at here with keen interest. When you look at this USD JPY, you see that USD JPY has been in some sort of a range for a while. Of course, it was in a huge downtrend, and then it began to it fell into a consolidation. We can see that price is somewhere around here now. And then what are we seeing? We're seeing that price is pushing into this zone right here. Price is pushing into this zone. Okay. So from here, we expect to see price dropping off. Price selling off right here, right? So let's look at this. This zone is where we expect to enter our trades on USD JPY. But we are going to hold off taking any positions right now, any pending positions right now, because we want to see a price reaction around here. Once we see a price reaction around here, we'll be getting on that trade, USD, JPY, even the GBP USD. As much as we've set our trades here right now, this is good. But if we have price hit this zone first and give us a reaction, that might even be better. So I think what we'll do is that we're going to hold off with this as well. What do we expect here? From where price currently is now, we expect price to drop another 80 something pips. Once price hits this zone, that should give us a reaction. A reaction is something that it's a move in the market, basically a price action reaction. When we see a price action reaction, that gives us a clear indication that price is about to go where we expect it to go. Instead of jumping on this trade right now, best thing might be for us to hold on and wait for price to give us a reaction around here. Once price gives us a reaction, then we get on the buy trade, right? So if that will give us a clear reaction where we know for a fact where our stop loss should be, because once price hits this level and gives us a good reaction, then we can hide our stop loss below the low of that candle. For now, we are not seeing that. That's more like here now. When you see a reaction here, it's a reaction. Price came back again, and then we see a move. That's what we're going to expect here. We expect price to hit this point, give us a reaction, then we'll know where to place our stop loss, and then we're able to ride the move. So we're still going to be patient with this trade to play out yet. Instead of jumping on the pending order, we'll hold on and wait for price to hit this zone and give us a reaction, then we'll be able to get on that trade. Same thing applies to USD JPY. So we'll let price hit this region here, give us a reaction, a price action reaction. Then we followed what the market is telling us rather than anticipating that move. Okay. Sometimes you anticipate that move, you see that price hits your stop loss, and then that start doing what you expect it to do. So there's no need to do that. The best thing is hold on, and then let's see price make that move. Let's see what we have on oil. Oil has been moving in a very interesting way recently. We see that price has been in a strong downtrend, but recently it's been trending up a bit. It's actually doing a consolidation. It's actually doing a consolidation. So this area here is where I expect price to start to sell from. The downtrend for oil is still intact. Downtrend for oil remains intact, right? So I expect that price should move into this zone, and then it should then sell after that. Okay. So like I said, price still needs to come into this zone and give us a reaction. But then we might get a buy opportunity here on oil. See, we might get a buy opportunity on oil because we're still expecting to keep rising. Price has given some sort of a buy opportunity here already. See, price just gave us a buy opportunity here now. Okay, right. I think we can get a trade on this, on oil, on US oil. And then if price means price will test this zone for the second time. Goes up, test this zone for the second time. Once it tests this zone for the second time, that will be our signal for entry. Okay, let's look at that. Buy here at 50 pips for 50 pip move on oil. We're expecting to see a 55 pip move there on oil. Our stop loss is going to be at 20 pips. So this is quite good. I'll give us this trade right now. Okay, so let's I'm about to give you guys this trade, so hold on 1 minute. Okay. US oil. So our entry is 68.810. Here on 810 at our take profit is 69.36. Stop loss is 68.610. So we have our oil trade right there. Yeah, so and that's a trade we have for this morning. We have a lot of other trades setting up. We see that Bitcoin broke out over the weekend and just started going crazy, right? Now, it means that we're going to have opportunities to trade on Bitcoin as well to catch the buy move on BTC. Okay, so this is something we're going to give you more updates in the. So we're expecting trades on BTC USD. We're expecting we have a trade already set out on oil. On US oil, we have a trade expected on USD JPY. We have a trade expected on GBP USD now. And then we also have a trade. No, we don't have a trade for Euro USD yet. We have a trade for GBP USD expected, USD JPY, and BTC at this. So guys, if you are not in the group, please make sure that you're keeping an eye on the group. We're going to give you further updates and signals and trade ideas in the group. And so stay tuned and we'll see you guys on the next one. All right.